In a bid to celebrate the World Health Day, which is a global health awareness day celebrated every year on the 7th of April with sponsorship from the World Health Organization and other related organizations. You're welcome to From the Dailies on Equa Television, where we review stories making headlines on our national and international papers. I am Uwola Bitosin, and Sele Elisha is here with me in the studio. Good morning, Sele.
Morning to say.
Yes, we're celebrating the World Health Day, which is done every 7th of April yearly. And we know that the theme for this World Health Day is Our Planet, Our Health. We need to sensitize and even create the awareness to people out there to go on the regular checkups, because we should not wait till only when we are sick or ill before we go for the regular checkups. But once in a while, the regular checkups to know the state of your health is very important. Eat healthy, live healthy, and even regular exercises are also important, because we have so many diseases out there, coupled with the weather now, the weather condition, like on the plateau, there are times you see that everywhere will be cold, and later on you see that everywhere will be hot. So we need to be aware and also familiar with our weather and know how to keep ourselves safe from any kind of diseases that comes, like we have the asthma, we have the cancer. So we need to sensitize ourselves, and thank God today is the World Health Day. The sensitization is going out, and even in the local areas they are sensitizing people on the importance to know about their state of their health and even the regular checkups.
Yeah, it's very true too, so, because when looking at the theme that was chosen for this year, I think it's timely, because if you actually look at the weather presently, the climate seems to be changing, and it's even getting more hotter than it used to be. Back was then, in just by this time you won't expect the weather to be extremely hot, but you can see because of various human activities it has actually affected ozone layer, and then you can actually see from the weather, and World Health Organization said like about 3 million deaths in the world are being caused by some avoidably environmental issues, and just like you rightly mentioned, some of these illnesses that are caused by the weather. So just like you say, it's an awareness for everybody. What can you do your own little environment, the way you should dispose certain deaths, burning, and even industries, how they tend to because look at all this pollution and all that. These are really things that have been causing some illnesses, and COVID, coupled with the fact that we had the COVID, which was also, if you look at it critically, it's also as a result of all these environmental issue. So we should be very careful what we do, how we relate with our environment, and if possible we should learn to stop cutting down of trees. I think this is an awareness that the government have been trying tirelessly in various, from the state government even to federal government, see how we can plant more trees so that the environment will have more fresh air, oxygen, and all that. So these are things that various government are trying to see that they put in place so that the environment will be conducive for everybody.
Yes, and also for the year 2022, they are focusing on urgent actions to keep humans and the planet healthy. So we need to keep ourselves and even our planet. We need to keep ourselves, our environment. We need to be healthy, because health is wealth. Let's jump into our papers.
Okay, the first paper we'll be taking this morning is from This Day newspaper. Zenith shareholders reap bumper harvest as bank pays 97.3 billion naira dividend, and detail of that can be found on page 39 of This Day newspaper. With Mackenzie, oil theft gone beyond crisis point in Nigeria, and to read detail of that you can check that on This Day newspaper page 6. Jonathan escaped unharmed as 2 8 die in Abuja road accident, and the ex-president Atiku mourn. And this is really a sad one, looking at the fact that our roads it's either as a result of terrorists or as a result of the bad roads, and we can say that this is really a sad one, that we're having an elder statesman like this actually falling prey to such thing. And we actually appreciate God that he was saved, but he lost 2 of his aides to that. And I think we've always said this, it should be an eye-opener to our government. What can we do to make our route more safe? Because it seems as if every means of transportation now, it's no longer safe. Is there our airport? Is there a railway? Is it the road? Possibly even as far as even the water, because we had issues where militants were actually there. So you could see that it seems to be nowhere that is safe right now, but we need to do something. The elections are by the corner. What can you do to see that when you leave office, you'll be remembered for? It's something I always say. It's not just about I came and I passed, but then make sure that the system passed through you, also passed through the system, and that generation will come after to really appreciate God that at one point or the other, this person was, or during your administration, this was how life was. It will not be a good record when say during your administration we recorded more deaths. We are already looking at the World Healthy, and we've been recording the issues of, is it cholera, is it Lassa fever? We've been having number of illnesses coming, and this all we tell on every administration. So we just hope that the government will look into this issue and we don't record deaths anymore. And this day project with Northern presidential candidate PDP set to lose key southern states with the rider decision makes Oyo, Delta, Rivers, Cross River, Abia, Enugu, Akwa Ibom vulnerable in governorship contests. Benue also sustainable. Other rider here, party unlikely to make appreciable impact in key northern states to compensate for loss in the south. And autumn, we are yet to throw our ticket open. We have another one coming from Ohanize. Pandev condemned decision by opposition party, said it's suicidal, a betrayal. And the last rider following that story say Fayoshe PDP must tread carefully over zoning, and you can read more of that on page 5. And we have a table here that said how northern PDP candidates may stand. You want to know more about that, you can check the front page, and also you read detail of that from this day newspaper. And the last story on the paper here say Bank of Agriculture MD Ali Hassan regains freedom from terrorists 8 days after the train attack, and detail of that can be found on page 40. I know Tosi, something really worries me looking at the fact that the reason why the MD was released, according to reports or sources that came out, that there was a video that was released, and the terrorists said the reason why they are releasing him is to record the season they are actually celebrating, which is Ramadan. That in spirit of Ramadan, that was why he was released. But to see, there are other people who are adopted there. Something seems not to be right, and I'm calling on the government to really investigate this issue thoroughly. We should not just treat this thing with levity the way we normally treat this. Something is beyond this. Why is he the only one that was released? Why we have other people that have been adopted? Christians are celebrating Easter too. The Muslims are celebrating Ramadan. And if we have free thinkers or traditional worshippers, regardless of what religion you belong to, we all have the freedom to live at the end of the day. So I'm calling on the government to really investigate this thing. It's not just about celebrating that one person is released, but we have many other people that are in the dents of this terrorists. So what is the government doing? They release videos, and I remember about 73 subscribers have been blocked because their lines are not recorded, their line has not been registered. So how did we get access to these terrorists? How did they go about this thing? And that's why I said we really need to investigate this thing thoroughly and be sure and know, because definitely they are not far. If they are within the shores of Nigeria, then if they are in the water, we have people we have a security agency there. If they are in the air, we have our security agency there, which are Air Force. If they are on land, we have security agency there. Every aspect, we have somebody that is there. So they should really look into this. Let's not just treat it and be excited that he's released. Yes, we are happy. His family are happy. But we'll be more happier if every other person that was adopted is released and they get to reunite with their family.
Yes, still talking about people in captivity. We have 11 Yawri schoolgirls that are still in captivity. We have the Leah Sharibu for the Chibok, and we still have other school children that are under captivity. Then why release just one person? And these people came out and said they are the ones responsible for the train attack. So I keep on saying we have the name-same linkage. When we spoke about it being for some subscriber that did not link their name to their SIM, I said I hope these people are part of it, because how did they even go as far as even getting the NIN number? How did they go as far as linking it to their seen and they are not traced. Because when you go to get your NIN number, you give out some details about yourself. What details do these people give out that even guarantee them having the NIN numbers, and even now they cannot be tracked? We had the issue of the NIN-SIM linkage where they said it's to tackle insecurity, but is it really tackling insecurity? Because up till date, these people still make videos, they still place calls to family members. And now for the release of the Bank of Agriculture MD, they are yet to see if any ransom was demanded from these people, but they said they release him based on his health ground and his age. Imagine we still have aged people in this same place. We have young school children, we have young underage people that are still here. So what is happening? We need to be balanced in everything, and investigations should go out. We need chief or officers to go out, look out for ways. Something needs to be done about it, because this is not just on such basis that they are giving. There are still more to all these things, and we need equity, we need fairness, and we need justice when you talk about all this, because those that are still in the den of captivity, they are not supposed to be there. You see communities that are being raided, you see family abducted, people abducted even in the community, and a huge amount of money is being demanded. And now just a particular person, and we still have people that say their whereabouts is still unknown for the Abuja, the train attack. They want to release just one person. We need to go out and still launch more investigations on this matter, because it should not just die down like this.
And that's all from this day newspaper.
On the Vanguard newspaper, federal government approves 12 new private universities. The Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of 12 new universities across Nigeria. Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed disclosed this to State House correspondent at the end of the weekly virtual FEC meeting presided by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He listed the benefiting states to include Kano, Niger, Gombe, Sokoto, Delta, Abia, Anambra, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. He said that the approval was given by the Council following a memorandum presented by the Ministry of Education on behalf of the National University Commission, NUC. According to him, Council approved the memo for the issuance of provisional license for the establishment of 12 proposed private university. The proposed private universities are Penn Resource University Gombe, which is in Gombe State, Al-Ansar University in Maiduguri, Borno State, Margaret Lawrence University in Delta State, Khalifa Ishaku Rabi University in Kano State, Sport University Idumuje Uboko in Delta State, Bala Ahmed University in Kano, and Saisa University of Medical Sciences and Technology in Sokoto State, Nigerian British University Hassa in Abia State, and Peter University Asina Onene in Anambra State, as well as Newgate University in Mina, Niger State, European University of Nigeria in Dubois, Abuja, and the Northwest University Sokoto. He said each of these universities will be mentored by the old universities close to them. The mentors will be expected to oversee the following activities of the new university, which include recruitment of principal officers, academics and administrative staff, availability of human and material resources for the commencement of any academic program, implementation of carrying capacity assistance in staff development, moderation of student examination and the result, general quality assurance activity, moderation of admission and external examination moderation, he said. And he was asked whether the issue of the strike by a university-based union was discussed in council on why new universities were approved when the public universities were on strike. He said, can we say because ASU is on strike, therefore we will not have new universities, when we know that today 65% of eligible students in the universities are just roaming the streets, when we know that today there are about 5,000 Nigerian students in Ukraine at home. And Sele, I would like to talk about this establishment of 12 new private universities. It's good. We keep on talking about our educational sector, but why must it be private universities that will be approved and established now? country where we have the state and even the federal university, the ongoing ASU strike. And now we are seeing that this establishment is based on our students who studied in foreign nation. We had the issue for the students in Ukraine and even Russia that had to come back home, and they are at home presently. So are we saying we're having this tough private university just because of them? Why can't we look into the federal university? Why can't we look into our state university? Give this demands to ASU, make it of standard. And if it's of standard, we have people that will come to those places. Because if we have this private university, we have people who are living below minimum wage, that can't even afford to send their wards to the private university. We have people with children, 4 or 5 children. How do you expect those people to send their wards to the private university? And now we're having these private universities established, created because of what? The elites, created because of the politicians that have their children at home. We need to look back to our federal university. We need to look back to our state university, create the enabling environment. If it's of standard, believe you me, we will have the children of the rich, the children of the elites, even studying in those places. But they are not worried because they have other alternative. They have the private university. If they can't send their children, if the foreign nation is not safe for their wards any longer, we have the private universities. And you see our senators, you see governors, you see they are the ones, they are the owners of these private universities. So we're still looking at issue of corruption, because corruption is still playing here, because now we are creating this because of the awards that are at home. Then what happened to those people that have been at home? Yesterday we recorded that the ASU strike have lingered for this. Yesterday was its 50th day. For how long will we continue to go with the strike? And they're not saying anything concerning if they are going to call off the strike anytime soon. And now we are seeing the establishment of 12 new universities. Select 12. You can imagine the resources that will go to those in the creation of these universities. We need to channel this energy, channel those resources to our private university, to our federal university, to our state university. Make it of standard. And if it's of standard, we have the lecturers, the lecturers coming, giving out the lectures. We don't have issue of strike. People patronize these places. So we need to do something about it. Creating other universities is good. Creating the private university is good. But if the federal and the states are not having issues of strike, then we can go to create other this for your personal benefit and even for business purposes. But for the state, for the federal government, we need to look into it and see that it is of standard and there is no issue of strike, and students are in school. Then it will be a matter of choice if you want to go to the private university, or you want to go to the federal university, or you want to go to the state university. Because we can't have new private universities and the state and the federal university are not in session. What is the fate of the common man? What is the fate of those who are receiving their salaries are below minimum wage? So their children should not go to school, and we say they are leaders of tomorrow. How do you expect those people to be leaders when the environment is not enabling for them? We need to look into all this.
We really need to look into it, and I'm really worried with the fact that ever since the Minister of Education walked out on the student, we've not heard his voice. We don't know what he's doing. We don't know what measures being put on ground. We know there was a committee that was set into the payroll, but yet we're yet to know what is the problem. Why are students still at home? What is the federal government doing about that? And just like you say, it seems as if they're not concerned about the students. And something we are failing to understand is if this 12 private universities eventually start operating, the other kids that are in the federal or the state university that feel that the government does not care will begin to train hoodlums. They will not make life favorable for others. Just here on the show, I think last month or so, we had a caller that told us what he has gone into as a result of what? Being at home. We condemned that. We said that is not the right way to move, or to actually show that you're not happy. But the way things are moving, Tosin, what do you expect? These students are getting angry, and we know that an idle man is a devil's workshop. Eventually, when they have nothing doing, they turn out to become trouble. Just in my area, I've seen them morning, afternoon, evenings. Either they are getting high on one one substance or the other, because they feel they don't have anything doing. Life at home is even becoming unfavorable for them. When they want to get involved, maybe to volunteer or something, people are even scared to even employ them, with the fact that what if school resume and all these things, because there's so much uncertainty. So I just hope that this federal government will actually sit and have a rethink about the way things are moving, because seriously, I've said it, once our educational sector collapse, every other sector will collapse. Why are you building the schools for then eventually? If the nation is not safe, why are you building the schools for? The roads, why are you building it for? The hospitals, why are you building it for? So I think this government really need to sit up and do what is expected of them at the end of the day.
Yes, Sele, still on the Vanguard. Jonathan loses 2 security aides in auto crash. Udin Kalu, Bianca Ojuku, Charlie Boy, others make 15-man Soludo committee, with details in page 13. And on electricity, on bundle TCN, face out NBET, power engineers tell federal government. RCCG Pastor Gandhi Olaoye eligible to become next Oba Laoye ruling house. On Ekiti 2022, unknown gunmen attacks Oni's convoy in Efon, Alaye. Nigerian-born student dies after eating cannabis sweets in UK. Kanu's family accuses Southeast governors of not presenting 8-point demand to federal government. And the big story says PDP's open ticket presidential contest triggers uproar. We didn't throw ticket open. This is coming from Governor Samuel Otom. Why contest was thrown open by the zoning committee members, and I hope PDP understands its implication. Uhua Bungwa. Southeast youth vow to mobilize against PDP. If you are interested in knowing the conditions that are attached to this, you find it in page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. How Obasanjo sowed seed of zoning crisis from a PDP source. 4 aspirant meet in Rivers, advocate unity of purpose. I'm not desperate to be president from Peter Obi, and Saraki-led reconciliation committee seeks credible officials for primaries. NURTW sacks MCO Luomo, dissolves Lagos Council, and that's all on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
A look at the Nation newspaper. Terrorists threaten to kill, attack, train hostages, and detail of that can be found on page 26 of the Nation newspaper. We have Dangote Adenuga Rabiu remain on Forbes rich list. Federal government lifts more COVID-19 restriction. Detail of that can be found on page 30. And we have the bank MD abducted on the bank MD adopted on attack train regains his freedom. Other stories still on the Nation newspaper. CBN finds 4 banks over crypto transactions. You can read more of that story on page 4. And Zenith Bank gives 93.33 billion naira dividend. Another big story on zoning. Ohanize lashes PDP as Fayoshe fault consensus with the rider. Ex-governor rates Atiku Tambuwal as paperweight. Obuazo, PDP violates own constitution on zoning, and parties NEC will decide on rotation, says Autumn. You can read more of that, and we have some quotes from each of these. We had, it is a political blunder and betrayal given that Indo-Igbo have suffered most recently for supporting the PDP. This is coming from Obuazo, and Fayosha said, I saw those going around for consensus. Who will step down for who? You asked me to step down? Consensus is undemocratic. Well, you want to read more of that story, you can check that out on the front page, and also you read detail inside the paper. And we have FEC endorsed 12 private universities. NURTW dissolve Lagos ESCOs, and you can read more of that story on page 2. We also have a picture story here, so do well to get the Nation newspaper and you can read detail of any story that is of interest to you.
Thank you, Sally. On New Telegraph, on allocation, states, local government to earn more as Commission finalizes work on fresh formula. While on cryptocurrency, CBN fines bank 800 million naira for flouting directives. Details can be found in page 25. On COVID-19, federal government lifts midnight curfew, restriction on gatherings. Reps concur with Senate, extend 2021 budget to May. Kalu moves to attract Federal Poly College of Education to Abia North. Southeast killings, Odin Kalu heads Soludo's Peace Justice Committee. Charlie Boy, Bianca and 12 others make list. Details can be found in page 4. On 2023, controversy trails PDP's presidential ticket zoning. We didn't throw ticket open, says Autumn, as Okowa justifies declaration. Purported zoning political suicide. This is coming from Ohaneze, while Pandef is saying power must move to south. Tambuwal lobbies National Assembly caucus, Board of Trustees for support. Saraki's committee blames party crisis on conduct of primaries. Still on 2023, APC fault reports on primaries. Set to roll out cost of nomination forms and timetable. Fresh crisis hit Delta State chapter. And the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers dissolve MC Oluomo-led council, names Sheyi Bankole as the new head. Jonathan escapes death in auto crash, loses 2 aides. Still on insecurity, terrorists suffering heavy casualties coming from the federal government as FEC approves 36.1 billion naira for Kefi Nasarawa Road, 5.65 billion naira for air terminal maintenance. OK's 12 new private universities. UK expresses concern over scale of insecurity in Nigeria. Bajabiamila calls for global response against terrorism. Details can be found in page 3, 5 and 6 of the New Telegraph. A study links caps sugary foods to poor oral health, with details in page 8, and that's all on the New Telegraph paper.
Okay, on Daily Trust newspaper, Ohaneze to PDP, justice zoning is conspiracy against Igbo presidency. Subscribers count losses as federal government directive to bar lines subsides, and you can read more of that on page 19 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And the screaming story here, 10 months after 11 Yuri school girls still in captivity, with the rider Dogo Gia insists on 100 million naira ransom. Kimpi builds mansion, leaf latch in forest. Families 2 million naira collected, girl will held, and mother bedridden over girl's fate. We can actually see there seems to be more explanation to that. The timeline for the Yuri school adoption, when we can see from June 17, 2021. And then on June 18, 2021, the Nigerian Army announced the rescue of 5 students and 2 teachers. And then on August 1st, we had 2 students, a girl and a boy, released by the bandit. Then on January 9, 2022, we had 30 students and 1 teacher released by the bandits. And then on April 4, 2022, 1 student, a girl, was released on Monday. And that means we still have more. About 13 female students were married to bandits. 11 girls remain with the captives over there. We can see giving us those who were released, those that they are still in captivity. And this is really sad. Imagine a mother what you have to go through, or as a father what you have to go through to know the fact that your word is still in the dent of these bandits. Possibly, I don't want to call them bandits because that's just a way of modernizing the name, but we need to call them who they are, terrorists. because they are the enemy of this nation, and we need to label them for who they are. It's a sad one that we can see that a Kimpi has built a mansion. Who were the people that supplied him with the building materials he had? Definitely it's within us. And that's why I keep calling on the government. We will not get tired of this. If we're having this number to the fact that 11 female students were married to these bandits, what do they know that they are being married of? We have our very own Leah Sharibu. Till date, she's nowhere to be found. We don't know if she's dead or alive. They just keep giving us videos, or they keep just telling us that she has given birth to one, she has given birth to two, and all that. And yet we're having our ministers coming out to tell us that Nigeria is finally safe. Safe for who? Safe for who? It's not safe. If you think you are safe over there, we are not safe down here. And I keep saying this, if you think that because you're over there you are safe, one day it will get to you. It's a matter of time. Because already we are having the bandits are saying that the government know what they need. They should give them what they need, and then they will release Nigeria. At what point did terrorists start having negotiation with government? At what point do you have the right to talk to the government? So I really think that we need to treat them with an iron hand for who they really are, because I'm really sad. I could feel the pain of this. Imagine my mother or my sister being with these terrorists. It's really, really a sad one, and we are calling on the government. We'll not get tired of saying this. I don't know who they are. I don't know the religion they are, but before I became a Christian, first and foremost, we were born to be a Nigerian. That is what unites us. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, we are all Nigerians, and we need to do what is expected to keep Nigeria together. Already we had in the paper, UK are complaining about the rate of insecurity we're having in the nation. It's a matter of time before foreign nations will begin to, withdraw whatever investment they have in Nigeria, and this will really be a slap on our face. This will really be a very sad one for us. So I just hope the government will not just listen to what their aides are telling them. They will not just listen to what maybe their media, but they should go to see what is really happening, have the first-hand information, go down to all these communities, talk to the parents, and you would truly know that people are grieving, people are in pain. If the constitution says you have freedom of speech, if the constitution says you have the freedom to walk around, then what is the problem? We really, really need to call our government back to see. We need to call them accountable. I keep saying leadership is not being about, it's not about leading, it's about service. If you are willing to serve, then you should know that you need to do whatever it takes to protect lives and property. And when you fail, then I think you should resign and let someone else that know what it truly means to take over the position. If our service chiefs think that this responsibility is too heavy for them, they should step down for people who are willing to do that. I think when we start doing things, really taking the bull by the horn, then truly they will know that we are serious. I keep saying that these terrorists are not beyond the government. They are not beyond. How many are they? We are over 200 million in Nigeria. They cannot just take over Nigeria like that, except we fold our hands and let them to do that. So I just hope that the government will really realize that it's high time we do something. They have less than 14 months to leave office, but they can still do something. I believe that a month or two is enough for them if truly they are willing to do something.
So it's even more painful when you know that these children, these girls are underaged and they are forcefully married out of their own will. Children that just went to school, and you see that they are abducted and given out to these people. I watched a video about this parent. They said they prefer it if it is said that their children are dead and they can even see where their children are buried. Over time, they'll get over it. But you don't even know where your child is. The uncertainties they are surrounded with. They don't even know where their child is, what their children are going through. It has the stigma and this trauma on the life of this parent and even these children that are in the den of kidnappers. And we are seeing some kind of timeline on what is going on with these children, the abducted Yauri school children. If you can have this coming out, then that means there is a kind of conversation between the people and these abductors. Because like we said, how do they feed? How do they go out? Because they even interact with people. They go out, they go to the markets. How do they go about all these things? For them to even build in the forest, how do they get all these materials? Conversation, how do they do all these things? The military need to do something about it. These people are not above the military. It's just the action to go about and even clear these people. We have government officials that say they know where these people are. Then what is difficult in bringing these people down? Because these people have created more harm to us as a nation. They've created more havoc to us. Children are not free to in school any longer. People send their children to the boarding house, but now people are scared of sending their children to the boarding house because of the stories surrounding. You see abduction in schools. In Kaduna, we had this issue of abduction. School children, the Baptist school children, the Yauri school children in different states. We had where children, even going to school, you see them being abducted. We had it in Abuja. We had issues of children dying in the hands of the principal and even the headmaster or headmistress. You can see that the school is no longer safe. Our educational sector is no longer safe. We need to do something about it. We need to fish these bandits. We need to fish these people that are creating havoc to us as a nation. Because when you are scared to go to school, when you are scared to send your words to school, then what next? You'll be used as these thugs that we are running away from. You'll be used to create harm to the government. So we need to do something about it. We need to go and fish these people down. We'll get them down because they've created more harm to us as a nation. We need to go after them, and we need to expose these people, starting by exposing those that are sponsoring them, because they can't do this thing on their own. Because the effrontery, you can imagine when they released this Bank of Agricultural, they said they are the ones that went after that train attack. You can imagine the effrontery they have. They say all these things, they make amateur video and they send it out. You can imagine that they have strong backings. If only those who are backing them, those who are sponsoring them, can be fished out, then those people who are the perpetrators of this act will try to refrain, because they know that those who are sponsoring them have been fished out. But if we keep on covering up this issue, trying to cover up those who are sponsoring this banditry, then banditry will continue to give birth to so many things. We need to go after these sponsors. United Arab Emirates have helped us to list out these people, but what is the federal government doing about it? Up till date, they've not released the names of these people. Are we trying to cover these people up? We need to expose them, expose all those people who are perpetrating this evil act, because it is evil in our country. We need to expose these people and fish them out, and even bring them to expose them, so that people will know that these are the people that are behind all these things that is happening. If these people can be exposed, then those people who are used as underground can also, they will hold back, because they know that they are no longer safe. We need to give quick action, swift action to all these things, because we are tired of words. We need actions to back up this issue of insecurity that we are surrounded with.
Very true. So, in other stories still on the Daily Trust newspaper, Jonathan survived as 8 died in the Abuja road accident. You can read more of that on page 3. Return to APC, Liar urges supporters, and Zenith Bank shareholders pocket 97 billion naira dividend. And another still on terrorism, we have train attack. Terrorists release the Bank of Agri MD, threatening others. And I just hope that the government will take this threat serious and not just treat it with levity, before we'll still have another story of another attack somewhere, because it's a way of making us to get distracted, and before realizing they have strikes. So I hope that the government will take that serious. And that's all on Daily Trust newspaper.
On Leadership newspaper, on Sankara murder, ex-Burkinabe leader Kanpore gets life jail. Still on World Health Day, diesel, electricity crisis hamper hospital services. And we see where we had issues of people saying they need to buy diesel in hospitals before their loved ones can go through different surgeries or even have the medical attention. And now we are seeing coming from the health minister saying that diesel electricity crisis is hampering the hospital services. We have the issue of electricity. Presently, there are some places they still have this total blackouts. It have not been resolved on the issue of electricity, and this is affecting the health sector. It's affecting the services of the hospital. We need availability of all these things. Sele, we cannot have a nation that is thriving when our health sector is not thriving well, the educational sector is not thriving well, and these are the things that are affecting us in our country. Coupled with the insecurity, look at the health sector. We have doctors going on strike. The people are complaining. Patients are complaining that you see them in the hospital say the services are poor. They don't have they don't have attention from the doctors. Because of what? Because of the salary. You see that doctors complaining about the salary. It's not even coming up as it's supposed to come up. And you see doctors complaining. we need to do something about it, because in marking our World Health Day, we need to look into all these things and try to right the wrongs that we are having. It's clear we know where the problem are coming from. Let's right the wrong. Let's put them in our order of priority, because as a nation, we put things that are not of priority to us, we put them first, and those that are of priority, we take them behind. We need to look at our table and bring out those things that are of priority to us, put them first, look into it for us to grow. We keep on saying, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this. Look at from the little place you are managing. What have you done? Look at our transportation sector. Where the Minister of Transportation said the roads are not having issues. Our roads are roadworthy. We have securities on our road, and you can see the accident that just happened. We keep on seeing the Lagos Ibadan Expressway is used as a trap for banditry. The roads are not good. You see pothole as deep as a gutter on our highways, and we say our roads are worthy for people to plow. We need to look into all these things, because from the little sector you are managing, what have you done? Have you handled those places well before we can give you a whole nation to handle? We need to do something about it. Our country is really bleeding. We need answers. Uncertainties are surrounding so many places, and we look at this World Health Day. We hope that the Minister of Health and even other foreign nations, because the World Health Organizations are even putting hands together with us, bringing out vaccines to help us in solving some kind of situations. If we can table all these things before them, these are the issues, these are the problems we are going through. We need help. If they can help, they are willing to help us. If only we open up, Sele. And even if these funds come up, channeling it into the right direction is another problem for us. That's where greed and selfishness come to play. We use this money for our own personal self. We will see our senators going out of the countries, governors going out of the country for health checkups. What happened to our hospitals? We need to do something about all this. And still on the leadership newspaper, Jonathan escapes death in auto crash, loses 2 aides. Zenith Banks pays 97.33 billion naira dividend to shareholders. We are not overwhelmed by security challenges. This is coming from the federal government. And amid backlash over PDP open ticket, Northern presidential aspirant lobby Southern governors. Party NEC has finally say autumn insist. PDP can't zone ticket after selling forms to all. This is from Okowa. And we will work as a team, Wike tells Tambuwal, Muhammad and Saraki. Let the best emerge, says Obi. Kachuku declares for ADC presidential ticket. Train attack, bandits free Agric Bank MD. And that's all on the leadership. Our phone lines are open. Do well to call us and talk about stories that interest you. So let's move to our next paper.
Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Ayede knows fate today as court rules on defection suit. Detail of that story can be found on page 3. Federal government lifts COVID-19 restriction as lawmakers tackle vaccination scam in Ghana. And more of that also can be found on page 3. Jonathan escapes dead, mourn 2 police officers killed in auto crash. Worry O'Hara on warpath over land seat to Nigerian army. Detail of that can be found on page 7. And the screaming story here says South Middle Belt in the Igbo leaders rage as PDP dumps zoning, with the writer Autumn denies, says he was quoted out of context. Fayosha kicks against decision on zoning. The Southern leaders vow to vote against PDP if ticket goes to the north. Baba Tope, Olafasho, Grace indifferent, and Atiku absent as presidential aspirant meets in Rivers. And we have here that said leaders of the Southern and the Middle Belt group yesterday were enraged over the decision of the People's Democratic Party to just zone zoning in the selection of party presidential candidate for the 2023 election, threatening to work against the party if a northerner is failed. There were expectations that the PDP would zone the presidential ticket to the south, in line with the zoning arrangement that had been in place since Nigeria. And you can continue to read more of that on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Lagos bridges flooded as thunderstorm wreak havoc in Oregu. And you can read more of that on page 30. And we have Ramadan, gunmen adopt worshippers in Taraba mosques, Northeast, another insecurity. We just hope that they'll be united with their families. And how to protect human health, combat climate crisis by expert, and still in relation to celebrating the World Health Day. You can read detail of that on page 22 of the Guardian newspaper. And the last story here, train attack, kidnap bank chief regains freedom from terrorists. Detail of that can be found on page 2. We have picture stories also on the paper, so do well to get the Guardian newspaper and you can read detail of any story that is of interest to you.
Yes, thank you, Sally. On the Punch newspaper on NIN SIM linkage, deactivated subscribers want 3-month extension. Enrollment centers congested. 2 die in Jonathan's convoy crash, others injured. Lassa fever spreads as COVID-19 cases drop. Federal government lifts restriction. An ex-governor attacks slams Malami with 1.5 billion naira defamation suit. NNPC pays $3.68 billion, owes Total, Ajib, Shell $1.1 billion cash call debt. On COVID-19 test, Senate protests Ghana's maltreatment of Nigerians. The big story, zoning crisis threatens PDP. South insists on presidency. Party in dilemma over zoning. Doesn't want to appear anti-South. This is coming from a chieftain. Ex-Governor Fayose buys presidential form. Rejects Saraki consensus proposal. Adopting zoning now undemocratic. It will shut out the best. This is coming from Adamawa Chair. Zenith Bank pays 97.33 billion naira dividends to shareholders. Suspected smugglers kill Ogun custom officer, dump body in pit. This is really sad, with details in page 4. Lagos father smashes baby's skull, burns house, blames evil spirit. And a picture story here on pensioners threaten showdown with Fayemi Abiodun, Southeast governors, retiree slumps. This need to look into the states of affair of the retirees. I keep on saying this is their money, and this is the time where they need this money back. Must they protest before they can get their money? You can see retirees even slump. They'll slump at the point of protest because of the sun, the weather condition. Some even go out to protest under ill health, and now their money have been rejected. They are denied their money, they are denied their wages, and this money was paid on the ground that after retirement I'll receive a particular amount of money every month to take care of myself, to take care of my family. But why are they being denied of all this money? We need to look into the pension scheme. We need to look into the pension, the asset of these people, and pay them their money. It is their sweat. They are not asking you for your own money. It is the money, it's their money that they have saved to be paid when they need it. Something needs to be done about the pensioners and how their money will get to them. That's all on the Punch newspaper.
Let's take a look at the Jezra newspaper. APC disown primary election timetable in circulation. And you can read more of that story on page 27 of the Jezra newspaper. And victory for women at last. Cutbacks 35% affirmative action with the rider plaintiff-led congen. Veritable evidence backed by incontrovertible disposition, says the judge. And you can read more of that on page 8. And I think at last we're actually smiling because what the lawmakers were not able to do, the judiciary have actually done that and have given women 35%, including many, even giving them the office of the minister. So I'm really excited that finally the women have a voice, but it's something that we should feel their impact finally when they get to head these various offices, that people around will know that truly a woman is in this position and she's doing what is expected. And who knows, before you realize it, we'll have a woman as the president of Nigeria. So I hope that something will be done about that too. Other stories still on the Al Jazeera newspaper. We have Afghan National Secretary Maku defects to PDP. Detail of that can be found on page 2. Can facilitate with Muslim urges peaceful coexistence, and this is coming from Khan, celebrating with the Muslims. And we have the NMC announces 15,000 NIN enrollment centers, and for those that have not yet registered, they will get their NIMC finally with this more centers being registered. And we have stadium vandalization panic as Senate summoned minister, NFF president, and detail of that story can be found on page 16. Burkina Faso ex-president Kaprotu gets life imprisonment over Sakara's mother, and you can read more of that story on page 2. And we have the train attack kidnap Bank of Agric MD regains freedom. Detail of that can be found on page 11. We also have a picture story here, so do well to get that Jezreel newspaper and read any story that is of interest to you.
And on Voice of Liberty on 2023, Kaduna needs leader with human face. This is coming from the Christian Association of Nigeria. And still on Kaduna insecurity, CSO retreat call for sack of army chiefs over attack on military base. COVID-19, federal government lifts midnight curfew, removes crowd restriction at weddings, events and others. The federal government, through the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, has in a new revision of Nigerians' response to the pandemic made major changes to some of the earlier introduced measures in view of the declining number of cases. This is coming a few days after the federal government introduced a new international travel guidelines for passengers and airlines. 3 killed, many abducted as terrorists attack mosques during breaking of fast. PDP zoning panel did not throw open presidential tickets, coming from Benue State Governor. And IGP orders dismissal of 9 policemen organizing strike. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty, and that's how far we can go on the program this morning. Thank you, Sele, for doing this with me. My pleasure. And as possible as it is, put smiles on people's faces. Live in peace with all men. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.